gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's time!
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the My 2 Cents Podcast, presented by and hosted by G2. I am G2. This is episode 262 of the broadcast, and I would like to first off ask every single one of you, how are you doing? I'm hoping that everyone had a good to lovely week last week, as we are now embarking on a new week. I'm hoping that that momentum will carry on into this new week for people that had a good to lovely week. If you did not, if your week sucked last week, I'm hoping that this upcoming week that we're about to go into will be better for you. I'm hoping that it will give you something that will bring you great joy and prosperity as we're entering or going into this freight train that is 2026. If you're in the US, you already know what I'm going to be talking about. If you're not, well, prepare for the news that has been coming around in the United States this past week, because there's only been one thing that kind of been dominating the news cycle since, I want to say Wednesday, but I'll get more into that when I talk about it. But again, we're about to embark on 2026. We're already in it, but I mean, we're really about to start embarking on this freight train that is 2026. And I'm hoping that everyone is prepared for it. And just like I say every Sunday, I want you guys not to stress out so much, because if you stress out so much, you will start to mentally become decrepit. And if you become mentally decrepit, your body will start to become decrepit. And then guess what? You'll be hitting 6 feet under. And I don't want that to happen to a lot of people. I want people to take on the right amount of stress, because we all go through some type of stress on a day-to-day basis. But limit it. Do not try to add on more stress than what you can actually handle, because if you do that, as I said, your mental capacity will start to decrease, which will lead to your physical will start to decrease, and then you know the rest. So please, ladies and gentlemen, please handle what you can handle. Whatever you cannot handle, don't worry about it, because it's out of your hands, at least for that moment. Schedule it out periodically throughout the days of your week. Problems or situations that you can't handle, and let that be your situation for this week. But do not try to overwhelm yourself on a day-to-day situation, because certain people do that, and it's just not going to end well for people in general. So again, handle what you can handle with stress-wise. Do not overwhelm yourself, okay? Now, with me saying all of that, now it's time for me to move over into your National Food Days of the Week. Today being January the 11th, it is Hot Toddy Day, as well as Milk Day. January the 12th will be Glazed Donut Day, as well as Curried Chicken Day, as well as Marzipan Day. January 13th will be Gluten-Free Day and Peach Melba Day. January 14th, Hot Pastrami Sandwich Day. January 15th will be Strawberry Ice Cream Day, as well as Fresh Squeezed Juice Day. January 16th will be International Hot and Spicy Food Day, as well as Fig Newton Day. Then, to round us out on January the 17th, it is Hot Buttered Rum Day. Now, with your National Food Days out the way, now it's time to move over into the condolences. And we only have one condolence, at least to my knowledge, that happened this week. In the entertainment world, is an actor by the name of T.K. Carter. He was in Space Jam, The Thing, Punky Brewster. He was in Good Times, The Waltons, The Jeffersons, Family Matters, A Different World. He's also been credited as playing in NYPD Blue, Everybody Hates Chris, How to Get Away with Murder, The Way Back, and Dave. It was said that he did pass away on Friday at the age of 69. Deadline said that the cause of death has not been immediately disclosed, but foul play is not suspected. I'm going to say probably as we're going through this week, there will be a cause of death that will be notified to the public, probably from the family. So that's something to, not going to say look for, but I would say you could probably bank on that before this week is over to know what Mr. Carter did pass away from, but again, he passed away at the age of 69. Rest in peace to TK Carter. It was said that he is survived by his wife Janet, so please give your love and condolences to his wife Janet. Now, with that being said, now moving off the condolence, now it's time to move over into some news, and I want to talk about international news first before I move over into the U.S. I would like to talk about Russia firing another missile at Ukraine. Reuters would put out an article and it would say that Russia fired a powerful hypersonic missile overnight at a target in Ukraine near the border with NATO member Poland in what Kyiv's European allies on Friday described as an attempt to intimidate them from supporting Ukraine. It was only the second time Russia has fired this missile at Ukraine and came amidst a night of air attacks that Ukrainian authorities said also killed 4 people in Kyiv, knocked out power in the capital, and damaged the embassy there. Again, this is something that I think always needs to be monitored. I understand, once again, that there was supposed to be some type of deal. As you can tell, there's no deal being made. There's no treaty being made here. I hope in 2026 they can end this, whether it be by, and I hate to say it like this, whether it be by full out just go straight to war with it, or we can find some type of peaceful way to get a deal actually done between Russia and Ukraine. But there needs to be something. I believe this has been 4 years now that they've been going at this with Ukraine and Russia. We are at 4 years, and it's kind of stupid how we've been doing this, but it's all off of one side. Ukraine's just been playing the defense. They've been trying to hold themselves up to make sure that they just don't fall to Russia. But I mean, Russia just constantly attacks Ukraine and attacks Ukraine. Again, Ukraine is needing our protection, and we're supposed to give it to them. But again, with this administration and his alignment with Putin, I just want 2026 to be the year where Russia and Ukraine can end whatever they got. But until they do, and when more information comes out, I will be bringing it back to this broadcast, because I think people do need to know what's going on, at least with Russia and Ukraine, because that's been going on, as I said, for 4 years now. We do need to at least keep up to date with that type of stuff. Next up, international news. Technically comes from the U.S., but it's still us striking Syria. The Associated Press will write up an article about it. It will say that the U.S. launches new strikes against ISIS in Syria after deadly ambush. The U.S. has launched another round of strikes against the Islamic State in Syria following last month's ambush that killed 2 U.S. soldiers and 1 American civilian interpreter in the country. The large-scale strikes conducted by the U.S. along partnered forces occurred around 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, according to U.S. Central Command. The strikes hit multiple Islamic States targets across Syria. Saturday strikes are part of a broader operation that is part of President Donald Trump's response to the deadly ISIS attack that killed, as I said, 2 U.S. soldiers and 1 American civilian interpreter in that country. The U.S. Command Center said in a statement on Saturday, "Our message remains strong. If you harm our war fighters, we will find you and kill you anywhere in the world, no matter how hard you try to evade justice." So that's what's going on right now with the U.S. as of, going off and attacking someone else. Again, this is a revenge situation, and American citizens like a whole revenge story. So I mean, if that's a story that you want to go with and that's the actual truth, I'm not going to go there and say that that's not, because again, there's some deeper, darker things from time to time. But again, it just seems like a revenge type of tactic. At least that's what they're telling us. But yeah, we're attacking ISIS that's supposed to be in Syria. That's all I'm hoping that we are actually attacking, not actually the Syrian people that have nothing to do with ISIS. I'm hoping they're not being collateral damage, but you know what usually happens. People usually be it. So I'm hoping that that's not the case, but more information will come out, and we'll wait and see about that. But that's all the international news that I do have for you guys on today's episode. Now moving over into the U.S., and you know exactly what I'm about to get into. For the people that are not from the United States, or if you're from the United States and you just haven't been keeping up with, I'll say, the news or social media in general, there was a shooting that happened in Minneapolis this past, I want to say, Wednesday. And it was a woman by the name of Renee Nicole Good who happened to get unalived by an ICE agent. There has been surface videos come out from different angles, and the gist of it was she was in one of the videos, looked like she's trying to help out cars leave a direction because her car was kind of like turned in one area, turned at an angle. And this was around the time that ICE was around this area. This woman is trying to help out people that want to just get out of the area that's already in their cars. And as you can see in some of the videos, they're literally just moving past her vehicle. ICE vehicle goes up to her vehicle. ICE agents come out of it. One looks like they go to one side of the car. One looks like go to the other side of the car. One looks like they get to the front of the car. Now, mind you, the woman, Renee Good, she's in the driver's seat of her vehicle. She already has her wheels turned to the right. And from the officers, well, I'm not going to say officer, but from this doofus's agent's camera point of view, it looked like they were trying to talk to her. She's not angry. She doesn't get upset with them. She says, "I hear you. I'm not even mad at you, dude." While her wife is outside of the vehicle, she has her camera phone up, pointed at the agent, and it seemed that she wanted to leave out of the space that she was in. So as she was trying to leave out, apparently the officer or agent, I'm just going to say doofus, said something to the lady and trying to give her commands, quote unquote. And again, she tries to drive away. That officer that was in front of the vehicle, they said that they felt like the vehicle was trying to hit him. So he took out his weapon and shot her 3 times, which led to the unfortunate demise of Miss Renee Good. Now, that sparked up a lot of people being pissed off this past week. And it's been continuing from that Wednesday into Thursday, into Friday, into Saturday. And I'm pretty sure it's going to continue into this week, because that's a big talking point. That's a big thing for people to see. That at first people were trying to say, or at least our government, the people at the top, were trying to say that she was a domestic terrorist, which that's not the case at all. She wasn't doing anything of domestic terrorism at all. And I just want to give people an understanding of what domestic terrorism is. Domestic terrorism is if you happen to plot or do an unspeakable action in a large group environment or area, as in the Boston Marathon bomber. That was domestic terrorism. Dylan Roof doing the shooting inside of a church. That's domestic terrorism. Any school shooting that has ever occurred on American soil, that's domestic terrorism. Person shooting up a mall, going into a mall and just start shooting people, that's domestic terrorism. Anything like that is domestic terrorism. What she did was not domestic terrorism at all. She was in her car. She was trying to get out of the way, even though this agent was, again, trying to give her some orders. She ended up still getting shot 3 times and dying off of that. I don't like that happened. No one liked that happened. And it's just sickening. It's sickening to see that, because this is not something new to anyone. At least I can only speak for me. Being a black man, being in America, being now 29, almost 30, having to pay attention to the news since I'll say I got out of high school by the age of 17, 16. I got out of high school turning 17. Graduated, no GED, graduation. I started to pay attention close to the news, not at 17, but more than likely 16, because that's whenever the whole kids got shot in Connecticut, like that upper area, where you had a guy go into the school, shoot up the children, and that's whenever people were really calling for some type of gun reform, and it never ever came to pass. That is when I start really paying attention to the news, because I thought at the time, why hasn't there been some type of gun laws to that, been gun changes to that since that happened? And it hasn't. So being 16, seeing that in the news, and then years later, you see I want to say the Uvalde shooting that happened just a couple years ago. Dylan Roof happened. Hearing about that, seeing the aftermath of that, seeing the Buffalo, the guy going into the Buffalo supermarket and doing the shooting there. Hearing about the Batman movie theater situation, and it's just been a lot of things that you either heard about or they caught it on video and you happen to see it. This doesn't shock me at all. I think the only thing that might be different, at least in this situation compared to others, is that this was a federal, and I hate to even say agent, but federal agent, because ICE agents are a part of the government. And you have to call them a federal agent for that specific reason. A federal agent happened to shoot someone over nothing. And this was precisely over nothing. I can't understand for the life of me, when you're in those type of situations, whether you're a cop or you're a federal agent, if you have that type of job, you know what comes with that risk of that. You know, there's going to be people opposing you, just like police officers. There's going to be people opposing them every single time when they get pulled over. Anytime that a police officer happens to want to speak to someone, they know there's going to be some type of opposing them, or whatever the case may be. And I feel that you should have some type of training to know how to handle the situation, even if it turns left. And again, they're going to try to constantly say that the shooting was justified because she didn't pay attention to the agent telling her to step out of her vehicle or follow whatever order the agent was telling them to do, and then trying to quote unquote use her car as a weapon. That's going to be the two talking points that people that side with what the agent did will say constantly. While a person like myself, I'm going to say, no. There was a different way to handle that. Like I've said, with different situations. When I talk about police officers that do stupid things, as in shooting someone as they're running away, or trying to hit someone with their vehicle, because there was, I believe, a police officer who got fed up talking to someone, I believe in Baltimore, a couple months ago. And he literally, in a video, you see the officer get in his car and try to hit that person. And I believe right now there's still an investigation on that, and they're having that officer suspended. That's the last time that I did check on that. There are ways to handle situations. And it just seems to me that we're getting to a point where you have officers, you have agents, federal agents, and I'm using that in quotation marks because this was not that. They don't have no bit of training, and they have really lost the plot of doing their job. ICE agents went into Minneapolis because of the Somalian whole fraud business. The alleged fraud. Again, they're still doing an investigation into that with the whole daycare and funding. Again, they're still doing all of that. That's the reason why ICE agents were down there in Minneapolis and still down there in Minneapolis, might I add. Not to shoot someone. At least if you're going to shoot someone, not at least in this situation. This one right here was not it. This woman didn't have a gun out on the officer. This woman didn't talk trash to this agent. Didn't do nothing wrong. Only thing they could say is, again, she tried to leave, as you had an agent in front of the car and like on the side of the car. If you're in that spot, you take out your weapon and you shoot out the tires. You don't quickly pop the driver front facing in your way. You don't do that. You shoot out their wheels. I don't understand how people get put into a position that can easily take someone's life, and you decide to say, you know what, I don't, or you should have the mind to say, I don't want to take this person's lives. How do I go about it, or go about the situation where it doesn't kill this person? And with a vehicle, you could have shot out the wheels. The officer, not just in the front, but the officer on the side could have easily pulled out the gun and start popping the wheels quick. Because it doesn't take that long, because all of them be happy-go-lucky with their finger on the trigger when they quickly get their gun out. They could easily pop. And you saw it with the video. The officer pulled his gun out and he quickly popped her. Quick. He could have easily popped the wheels out. And again, that would have saved her life. That would have made sure that the officer or the agent, again, I'm going to flip-flop to their name so much, so bear with me. The agent could have popped her wheels and she still would be here. She would have probably got arrested. They probably would have had to fine her, or whatever the crap it would have been, but she would still be living with her spouse, with her children, instead of being dead. That's what I have a problem with. That is what I think everyone has a problem with, is how this was not handled correctly. Yes, we know ICE is in mad different states. This has been going on for a year now. I believe almost a year, because of what Trump got into presidency for his second term last year around this time. So yeah, about a year, ICE has been around the U.S. and doing this job. And I think this is the first time that they actually killed someone. Yeah, I think, don't hold me to that, but because if it was something else, I would have talked about it. But yeah, ISIS usually goes into states and just try to take who they're trying to take. They don't ever usually take people's lives. And this is the first one I can only say that, to my knowledge, that they took someone's life under that ICE banner. And it's nasty work. It's completely nasty. I don't like how this is the case. I do want to say this, though. The Minneapolis mayor and, if I'm not mistaken, the Minneapolis governor have said that they want ICE out of Minneapolis. They want them out of Minnesota. They want them out of there because of what they did here. I want to read you something here. They said law enforcement officials in Minnesota said that FBI is blocking their access to the material in this investigation. And what they mean by that is that the Minnesota police is trying to investigate what just happened. They're trying to look in and see if they can hold that ICE agent accountable for essentially murder. Because we all saw it right dead in your face if you happen to see the video. Because again, there's different camera angles out there. And they are urging the public to submit evidence directly to that state's prosecutor's office. So it seems to me that they're trying to do something about this. They're trying to hold that ICE agent accountable for what he did. And I feel that should be the case. I do. That ICE agent should be held accountable, should have a day where his day in court. It should be that. Because again, if you saw the video, there was nothing harmful in that. And let's just say, cool, let's just do it. Let's say she was trying to run away from the scene. Let's say she was, quote unquote, trying to hit the officer. Did you see how that vehicle started off? That vehicle started off not even fast. It started off literally just beginning to move. That officer, that agent, could have easily have moved out of the way quick and then started to, as I said before, because they like to be gun happy, pull the gun out, start popping. Like he did when you see the video in reality. That was not the case. And again, shoot the wheels, never the person. Because you gotta grab them up and nab them up. You don't want to kill them. And this white woman, she didn't look like she had any type of gun in the car. If it looks like someone has a gun in the car, or you can kind of profile it, then you can do the 50-50. And I hate to even say it like that, because then they're going to try to profile black people like they already do now. But again, I'm just going to call it a spade for what we saw in this video here. She was someone that didn't look like she had a gun in her car. She didn't look like she wanted to hurt anybody. So, dog, this is just ridiculous. It's just completely ridiculous. I'm hoping that they do prosecute that ICE agent. And even if they do, you know what? I just came to this realization as I'm saying this. Even if they do prosecute the agent, I still have a feeling that the freaking president is going to pardon the freaking agent. I do. I think the president is going to pardon the agent, anyone that's under his task force of ICE, that he's going to pardon them for what they're doing, because they're technically carrying out his bidding of, quote unquote, trying to get illegals out of the U.S. But this right here was not the way. It wasn't at all. And speaking of, the next day in Portland, Oregon, 2 people were shot and wounded by Borderland Patrol agent. And that also got some outrage, because they're trying to say that the 2 people that were shot in Portland, Oregon, they are allegedly from a Venezuelan gang, which, again, I don't believe none of that. The Portland, Oregon, I believe police officials are going to be looking into that as well, because that's literally coming a day after the whole shooting incident that happened in Minneapolis. So it's just a lot of crazy, stupid things coming from this administration, again, for his second term. And I've been saying it for a year now. Homeboy being in his second term, Trump right now, this is mad different than his first one. The first run was him just being there, him doing a couple things, people laughing at the stuff that he was doing. There was certain serious stuff that people took serious, but I'll say when people look back at it, it was more of a people having a kind of a laugh that Trump was the guy, because you'll get sound bites and all that, and comedians would laugh about it. Nighttime hosts would laugh about what Trump is doing. This go around, it has been less laughs from comedians and even nighttime hosts, and more, yo, we are in trouble. There is trouble afoot and there is peril. Like, dog, something needs to be done. This is what this second term has felt like. And I've been saying that. I've been saying that for the last year now. The only thing I can say this to everyone is that I hope everyone is buckled up and strapped in for this next 2 years. Because we only got 2 more years of Trump. Unless, and I always have to put this, unless someone has to do the unthinkable. And you know what that is. I'm not going to say it, because then they'll try to tie that to me, whoever they are. If someone or people happen to do it, it is what it is with that. But this second term right now, I hope you're strapped in. That's all I can say for anybody. I also would like to say this about ICE. One, I hate ICE. I don't like ICE. I've said that before on this program. I've even tried to... I've said that, and then I've said this. If ICE is truly about getting people out of here that they feel is a threat, I've said this before. Let that be the thing that you do. Get people out of here that have caused actual harm to people. Like, quote unquote, drug dealers or quote unquote murderers, quote unquote, sexual assaulters that come from another country that get into the United States. I've said that. That's my only way that I've shot ICE any type of bail. If you're taking out those people, and then when you do that, you announce to the public, hey, this person has been arrested for this, since they've been here, then I can say, you know what? Get them out. Fine. You guys are at least sticking to your talking point of why you guys created this group. But that's not the case. It always goes back to, hey, this person is an illegal. This person, quote unquote, is a gang member, which you can never ever truly prove that. This person is an alleged abuser or whatever, but it's all nothing you can't prove. Nothing. You just go off of that because of how they look. And ICE has targeted Hispanic individuals. They've targeted people from the Middle East. They're targeting Somalians. They're going to be targeting a lot of other people, and quintessentially, they're just targeting people that are not white. That's what ICE is doing. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, it's nasty. I don't like ICE. I'm hoping that ICE will be disbanded before 2026 is over, whether it be willfully or forcefully by the government itself. Because I'm pretty sure there are some people in government, not just on the Democratic side, but because of what they did in Minneapolis this past week, I'm pretty sure there's probably some Republicans in the government that aren't happy with what ICE just did. And they're more likely going to be on the side of the Democrats to try to end ICE and get them out of the U.S. as a group itself. So we'll wait and see how that goes. I do also want to say this. I'm hoping that people start to unmask ICE members. I don't like that ICE members get to hide their face. I didn't really pay too much attention to that until I've heard people talk about it, and you see the videos and you see people talk about how ICE agents being masked up or covering their face is kind of alarming, because you can never ever, you can't truly identify who they are. And again, I didn't pay too much attention to that until I watched some videos from people that worked in law enforcement for many years. People that were in, whether it be the Army, the Navy, the military. They talked about how they don't like how ICE is able to cover their face, because them being enlisted in the military, Navy, Army, they never ever covered their face. The only time they covered their face was like to do like operative type stuff, or if they were in like severe type weather. But other than that, they never covered their face. And these are people that went to other countries that had to do things to other people in other countries, whether it be good things or, more of the time, less than not, bad things to people over there. They had to be there, and sometimes they covered their face, sometimes they didn't. You're here as ICE agent on American soil. Why are you covering your face? Again, I'm hoping that people start unmasking these frauds, because this is so stupid, man. It's dumb. But more and more information will come out, more than likely. in this upcoming week. And again, I do once again would like to say a rest in peace to a Renee Nicole Good. It sucks what happened to her. It sucks that her partner has to live and raise their 3 kids without her, and it just sucks all around. And now they're trying to throw something before I get off of this, because again, this is so dumb. They're trying to throw in now that this woman was a part of an anti-ICE group. To that I say, so what? If she was a part of an anti-ICE group, I'm going to ask this question. Did this anti-ICE group attack ICE? Did this anti-ICE group have a plot to want to take down ICE in physical ways? I mean, no, because if so, they would have already thrown out all these different things. They're again just trying to throw more smut and more dirt onto this woman's name, and it's nasty. It's disgusting. This just tells you once again what this regime is doing and has been doing. It's just nasty work, bro, all across the board. It's unprofessional. It's precisely, this is just exactly what America is right now. It's America right now. America is so unprofessional. I can't even blame other countries for looking at us like in disgust. I can't, bro. I can't no more. When you do this to your own civilians over here, you start attacking your own civilians over here, where this is supposed to be the land where, again, the idea of America and what it was built upon, because you say whatever you want. All you whites that are here, your 444 greats, all them, they came over here. They were immigrants. They came here to get from under a king and queen rule. If you know your white American history of how y'all got here, then again, you guys took us, the blacks. But I digress. America is supposed to be the place where you guys come here to get free and try to make a better life for yourself. But somehow, in some way, and you're not supposed to be, America, you're supposed to be a place that's not like the others. Because you got other countries that are having their own government turn them on their own people. America, we're supposed to be doing that. America had that when it had its own civil war happen. Yeah, sure. But something like this is all up in third world countries and all that type of stuff. This doesn't happen here. So now I can truly say, without a shadow of a doubt, this is nasty. This is unprofessional. This is exactly why I have no problem with countries now coming over here and say, yo, America is not the spot, bro. America is not the place where they've been selling this dream to all of us. This isn't it, bro. This is not it. And I'm hoping that it does change. I'm hoping, once again, that when this next 2 years come to pass, or maybe even shorter, because again, toss a coin up, 2026 might be the year where someone might do the unthinkable. And I'm not saying someone will, but again, anything can happen. I'm hoping that something does change for the American people. I really do. But more information, more details will come out. I'm hoping that once again, ICE gets disbanded before 2026 happens, but we shall see. Now, moving off of government, still sticking in tragedy, Associated Press would write up an article about 6 people that were killed in a Mississippi rampage, and the suspect has been charged with murder. In the article, they would say that a 24-year-old Mississippi man killed 6 people, which were his father, his brother, his uncle, 7-year-old cousin, a church pastor, and a pastor's brother at 3 different locations during a Friday night rampage. The man that has been arrested for this nasty of a crime, the man's name is Dereka M. Moore. He was arrested Friday just before midnight after dozens of local, state, and federal officers flooded the northeast Mississippi area. Moore was held without bail Saturday. He has a litany of murder charges ahead of him, and he's expected to be before a judge on Monday. So that's what's going on there. At a news conference, they said that evidence and witnesses indicate that Moore was the only shooter and no other injuries have been reported. But that's, again, so far what's going on right now. That's crazy. Let me just go up with this. If this is true, and this is the guy that did it, that's crazy that you killed your father. You killed your brother. You killed your uncle. That's nuts. And then you killed your 7-year-old cousin, and then your pastor and the pastor's brother. Dog, what is it? And how and why? Like, that's nasty, bro. How do you do all of that Friday night, first and foremost? How do you do all of that? But why? Why? That's just a big key question to this. Why? Why did you do this? They said it's from different locations. I'm going to read you this. They said investigators believe Moore killed the father, his brother, and his uncle at a family mobile home. Then he stole his brother's truck and drove a few miles to a cousin's house where he forced his way in and attempted to SA the 7-year-old girl, which I'm not going to say if he did or didn't, because they don't clarify that he did or did not. Well, they say he attempted, so he failed at it. But either way, the 7-year-old girl ended up still being unalived by this heinous of a person. Then it was said that Moore then drove to a small white farm church, broke into a residence and killed the pastor and his brother and stole one of their vehicles. That is how they're timelining this up. Again, I don't know what it is with this man. I don't know what's going on. Again, all this happened Friday night, different locations. And again, this is still new to me because I knew nothing about this. Nothing at all. This, as I was looking for other things to talk about than just besides this things that happened in Minneapolis, this popped up on my feed and I was like, this is something that I haven't seen anybody talked about, which I'm pretty sure by the time this week that we're entering on Monday, they're going to have this be on all the big breaking news from your ABC, CBS, all that type of stuff. I have a feeling that's going to be the case there. And for me, again, this is just, it's nasty, bro. It's just nasty for what it is. I don't like this. I don't like that this was the situation. I don't like this even came about, but I do want to know why and what's the motive for this, because this just doesn't seem right. This doesn't seem like someone that was right in the skull, and whether they were right in the skull or not, the action and all this mess was still nasty. It's just, it is what it is. But hopefully we get a motive this upcoming week. If not, I will stay on this incident, and whenever something else comes out about it, I'll bring it back to you guys here. Now, moving off of this, I do want to go over into some lawsuits that were filed this week. First one I do want to talk about is gospel singer and pastor Donnie McClurkin. He has been hit with I want to say a civil suit that has stated that he sexually abused a man by the name of Giuseppe Carlito. The suit says that when Giuseppe was struggling to reconcile with his sexuality with his faith, he went to McClurkin in 2003. The lawsuit says Carlito, who was then 21, went to McClurkin's church after reading his autobiography book, which described how God helped him overcome the curse of homosexuality. At the church event, McClurkin talked about being assaulted as a child, which resonated with him because that's similar to his story. Carlito said in an interview with NBC News. He said he was brought to meet with McClurkin after the event and that the man took an immediate interest in him. At first, it was very innocent and what I thought was mentoring, Clarito said in an interview, but now believes he was being groomed from the start. McClurkin began to molest Carlito during Pray the Gay Away spiritual sessions, the lawsuit says, and the abuse escalated over the next several years. During this period, Carlito worked as McClurkin's assistant and regularly traveled with him, according to the lawsuit. Carlito struggled to process these incidents of sexual abuse as McClurkin was both his mentor and employer, making it difficult for him to speak out about the abuse he has suffered, the lawsuit says. An attorney for McClurkin said that the allegations are false, so that's where we're at with that. At least that was during this week. McClurkin did put out something on Instagram, and he will say that many of you are aware of the profane allegations of sexual assault, rape, and coercion that have been recently lodged against me. I want to state clearly and unequivocally that these allegations are contrived and untrue. I understand the weight of such false claims, especially in our community rooted in faith, trust, and the teachings of Jesus Christ, and sexual violence in any form is a real and painful reality for many and not to be used frivolously. True survivors deserve to be heard, protected, and supported, and at the same time, the truth matters, and the truth has not been told. He will continue putting out a longer paragraph, but all in all, he will say that the truth will be said, and he will be vindicated. So we're now in this part of the lawsuit. It just happened, just came to the world, and that's what's going on with Donnie McClurkin. Only thing I'm gonna say about this is, I'm gonna say for the church community itself, I wish that the church community will at least understand that. How do I say this without really pissing off church people and Bible thumpers like that? Because I want people to get it, but I want them to understand it, not just hear it, go in one ear, not the other, but actually understand what I'm trying to say here. The church without gays are not the church. And people might look at me and say, what do you mean by that? When you think of the church is really backboned by women and homosexuality, homosexuals. That's literally the truth when it comes down to the church. When you look at people that are in the pulpit, there are a lot of people that are in pulpits that are down low, that are in the closet, that haven't came out. They might live a double life. There's a lot of them. There has come out through time in and time out. We've seen it. So the church without gay people is not the church. It doesn't exist. Okay. At least the building and people going into it, all that type of stuff. It just doesn't exist. I feel that churches need to be more accepting of gay people. I do believe in my heart of hearts. And again, people might say you don't read your Bible or you need to read it. Listen, I don't need to do all that type of stuff. Listen to me now. Because the Bible is books that men put in their stories. The only thing that we know for certain that we could actually say is that Moses got the 10 Commandments from God and put it on stone. All of that. God gave that to Moses. Everything else is stories from people's eyesight and point of view. Okay? That's a great majority of the Bible. I do want to make that perfectly clear. And my stance on this is that I feel that the church needs to be more accepting of people that might not be heterosexual. If they're homosexual, you need to be accepted of them. You need to do that. Stop trying to tell people that they're going to go to hell with fire and brimstone because of who they love and what they are attracted to of that manner of the same sex. I don't believe in that. Me personally. Everybody got their own personal belief, but me personally, I do not believe in that. I believe that God truly cares about how you interact with one another and how you interact with him. If you put him as number one, if you put him as the top guy, if you see him as basically King of Kings, and you treat people decent and you treat people right, and you don't try to undercut other people, do devious and evil things to others, I feel that you will be able to enter the land, enter the top level, enter heaven. There's all these different ways that, and different names that people got for it, but that's just me. All right. I believe in that type of stuff. I don't believe that if you're gay, that's the one thing that's going to like kick you out. Because there have been some people that are straight, that are some of the most nicest people that you can imagine. But boy, oh boy, if you have to talk with them and you get them alone, they are some of the most judgmental people. And I don't think that's what God would want you to be. Judgmental of other people. I don't think that's what he would want. I don't think that. I think that's, again, being a hypocrite. I think that's something that you're not supposed to do. I don't think you're supposed to be judgy of people. Can you have your little comments? Yes, but whenever you start really just digging into someone and being judgmental of what they are and what they do and all of that, then you kind of got a problem. Then that's whenever I gotta say, I don't think the big man upstairs will be okay with that. But all in all, I think your sexuality should not play a part into the whole thing. And I think that the church needs to open up on that. I think the church needs to, once again, you cannot have a church without having gay people in it. It's just the truth. Women hold up the church as well. I'll say, if anything, just because a guy, which is more or less the time, the guy that's the pastor, like running it, but it's really the women and the gay people running the show, like really holding it up. Because without the women, you losing a good portion of your church members. Without gay people, you losing a big portion of your church members. Because I don't care what no one says, and I'm a man, I'm a heterosexual man. Men are not going to be in the church like that. It's not. There's a lot of churches that are run by male heterosexual men that's just using the church as a hustle because they know that women go there because women are more emotional. They look for something spiritual. They know that God is the spiritual being and all that type of stuff. And that's a hustle for a lot of them. But I don't want to get too far more into it. Again, point being, let gay people be a part of the church. Make them feel welcome. Do not try to say that God's going to bash them, send them to hell, fire and brimstone just because of them being gay. I don't believe in that. If that's what you believe in, cool. I don't really, But we got to kind of we got to change that. For me, I feel that we got to change that. But that's just me. We'll wait and see. But Donnie McClurkin, we'll wait and see with you, my boy, and see if any of that truly did happen. And by the way, the Florido, the guy that's Giuseppe, the guy that's alleging the stuff against Donnie McClurkin, he said he got an email that says that McClurkin emailed him saying that he's a dirty old man. He apologized for the things that he did do to him. And if Homeboy does have the not the interview, but the email from McClurkin's personal email address and all that sent it to him, I would say that's pretty hard to deny that for McClurkin. So hopefully Homeboy puts that into the lawsuit if that actually did happen and actually have the actual email for it. But we'll wait and see. And trust me, they'll probably do some forensics about it to see if that's from McClurkin's personal computer, business computer, whatever the case may be, because they always find that type of stuff. But when more information comes out about Donnie McClurkin in this lawsuit, I'll bring it back to you guys here and speak up about it. The next up that I do want to talk about is an actor. He has been now on the run, or he is on the run right now because they got a warrant for his arrest in New Mexico. The man's name is Timothy Busfield. He faces child sex abuse charges involving minors he directed on the cleaning lady. This coming from the Wrap. They will put that Timothy Busfield faces child sex abuse charges and has a warrant for his arrest in New Mexico, following an investigation according to local media reports. Court documents reviewed Friday shows 2 counts of criminal sexual contact of a minor and an open count of child abuse against Busfield, stemming from an investigation into his relationship with child actors he directed on Fox's The Cleaning Lady. He directed episodes of the series from 2022 to 2025. Representatives for Busfield did not immediately respond to the rap's request for comment. The show's studio, Warner Brothers Television, noted in a statement, "The health and safety of our cast and crew is always our top priority, especially the safety of minors on our productions. We take all allegations of misconduct very seriously and have systems in place to promptly and thoroughly investigate and, when needed, take appropriate action. We are aware of current charges against Mr. Busfield and have been and will continue to cooperate with law enforcement." The investigation reportedly began in November 2024 when a doctor called police to the University of New Mexico Hospital. The responding officer spoke to the parent of 2 boys who were actors on the series. Allegedly, Busfield told the boys to call him Uncle Tim and grew closer to the boys while working with them. The mother told the officer that she had asked her then 11-year-old children if anyone had touched them in a manner that made them feel uncomfortable, according to the affidavit. The children responded by saying, "You mean like Uncle Tim?" The boys were allegedly touched inappropriately in private areas on a bedroom set for the series, one of the boys told forensic investigators. The affidavit noted that prior to Busfield joining the production, parents of children actors were given iPads to monitor their children on set per safety protocols. This reportedly changed following Busfield's arrival. Production assistants corroborated that Busfield exhibited abnormal behavior and occasionally interacted unsupervised with the children on set. Busfield allegedly denied inappropriate conduct when interviewed by Albuquerque police in November 2025, saying that the accusations were revenge for the children not being involved in the show's final season. The actor reportedly admitted it was highly likely that he picked up or tickled the children in the playful environment of the set, but that such conduct was not weird and would have been done in front of others. All right, here's the deal. So right now, as I said, they allegedly got a warrant for his arrest. Here's my thoughts on this pretty quickly. This kind of goes back to what we just had, that whole behind the set where you had the Nickelodeon stars, or at least some of the past all that Nickelodeon kids that were kids at the time, come out and talk about their experience on all that set. I'm going to say this now again. Let this story and let that series, if you didn't watch it, I believe it's still on Max. And if it's not on Max, you can look at it on Hulu, I believe. Again, I believe it's called The Dark Side of the Set or something like that. Just look up on Google, Nickelodeon documentary, all that, something like that. Trust me, they'll give you a general term about it, but trust me, you'll see it. Look at that if you haven't seen it, because this will give you prime real estate to know about the nasty beings that's behind the scenes. And I think parents that have children in the entertainment business now more than ever should know about this. This ain't like the rumors or hearsays anymore. No, there's been too much evidence, too much stuff that has been floating and coming out. More recent now more than ever than any time before then. That parents that have children on these television series, that have them on these movie sets, you should never leave your children alone with any movie producer, anybody that's going to work with your child in any type of aspect, whether it be hair and makeup, whether it be getting their clothes together, whether it be them on a scene, a movie set scene for that specific situation that your kids are part of. You are supposed to be there at all times and be there to make sure nothing happens to your child. Make sure nothing happens to your child. Because, again, we are in a time where people are doing nasty things to children, and it's going to constantly come up, and it's not something I wish on anybody. I don't care who you are. You don't do that to children. You don't touch these children in inappropriate places. You don't do that. And again, these are all just accusations. Again, they did say they investigated it, but apparently they didn't do so much of a good job. But it's just nasty, bro. It's nasty all across the board just to even read something like that. But I'm not shocked by it, because again, this is Hollywood. It's people trying to just make it. You got parents that, again, probably rely on their kids because they see their kid as a meal ticket to put their family in a better spot and have that kid carry the family in Hollywood and all these different things. But it's just nasty all across the board. Certain parents, they don't really pay attention to it because they just see their kid, as I said, as a meal ticket, and they allow their kid just to go up on the set. I'm not really going to pay attention to you much like that. Hey, do go on with the director. Do what the director says. All that. If the director says, hey, I want to speak to your kid, can I pull him off to the side? The parent might be like, yeah, sure. That should no longer be the case anymore. Parents should be like, nah, I want to be with you. If you're going to talk to my kid on the side, I need to see what you're going to say to him so I can enforce him and say, okay, hey, remember homeboy said do this. Try to make the faces or give that emotion or whatever you can, and have the parent kind of reinforce that in their way, that the kid can kind of get it together if they don't got that right. Something along those lines. But a parent's supposed to be there with the kid. They're supposed to. And again, I think this should be a cautionary tale. This and that other documentary, like docuseries that I talked about last year, that should be cautionary tale that a parent needs to be on set. Never leave your kid on set by themselves. Never leave your kid with a producer or anybody by themselves. No, because anything can happen, and you don't want that to happen. You don't want your kid to feel a type of way ever, even as they're growing up, because it might not hit them at the time, but years later, things start to flow back to their mindset, and things can happen, and then it'll be already too late, because then things happen to them. Some of them want to end their existence on this planet because of what they remember and how they feel about it and all that type of stuff. And there's just a lot. I don't need to go into it, but you know what I'm talking about. So right now, that's what's going on with Timothy Busfield. When more information comes out about him, and I'm pretty sure there'll probably be more information this week. I'll probably bring about it on Wednesday for my midweek breakdown episode, if there is any more. If not, you check me out next Sunday when I speak about it some more. That's all the big news that happened this week. Is there anything in television that I've watched so far? I mean, I watched Landman. I've watched literally season 1 all the way up to season 2 right now. I think I'm like on episode 6, 7. I passed the episode where, what's homeboy's name? Billy Bob Thornton's wife did like the whole, it's not the pirate dinner, it's the Hispanic Mexican dinner nights. I've seen that episode, and Landman's good. If you haven't watched Landman on Paramount Plus, I would suggest you go watch that. I believe they're coming up on their season finale for that. So I would say, if you haven't seen it, go check that out. Next series I'm going to watch after Landman. I'm more than likely going to go to the morning show. I've seen a couple episodes of the first season of the morning show with my mother. Haven't really dug right back into that, but I'll probably go to that next. But television, so far, it's pretty good from what I'm seeing. At least what I'm trying to catch up on. But yeah, that's so far anything I think in television news right now. Bruno Mars put out a new single for his upcoming album that I believe is coming out in February, because he got a tour coming up, and it's more for the romantic thing. And I've known on this tour he's supposed to have like Leon Thomas on that and some other people. So congratulations to Leon Thomas for clicking up with Bruno on the tour. I'm pretty sure he's going to be on the album, but the single that Bruno has, that's a nice single. I like that single that he got. I'm hoping that the album will continue on in that vein of style that he's going. Anything else that's happened so far, at least the entertainment I do want to bring up? I believe that's everything, if I'm going to be honest. But yeah, man, this whole week just been really dominated by that unfortunate Minneapolis shooting. Hopefully next week or this week that comes about, we get more information and there actually will be some type of actual punishment that goes towards that agent. But we'll wait and see. Now, with all that being said, it is now time for me to get you guys out of here. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in to the My 2 Cents podcast, presented by and hosted by G2. I would like to thank everybody for dropping in today's episode, listening to me talk about some of the big news stories that happened this week. I would like to thank all the podcasting sites that have me on here, whether it be Apple, Amazon, Podbean, Spotify, iHeart, all of the podcasting sites that you're listening to me on. I would like to thank them, but I also would like to thank you guys, downloaders and listeners, because without you guys, it'll just be one guy talking into a mic, into a black void. So I really do appreciate everyone for tuning into today's episode. And again, I'd like to say thank you, truly. Now, with that said, always remember,
I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you.
that is not a gimmick. I truly do love and appreciate every single one of you guys. I want everyone to say a prayer. Even if you're not a spiritual person, say a prayer or say some type of positive affirmation as you get up or throughout the day for not just yourself, but for everybody. And also, don't be a dick. Don't be a dick to people that you do come across on your day-to-day situation, activity, whatever it is. Don't be a dick to people, all right? Because you have no idea what they're dealing with. And if you give them some type of kind and courtesy, best believe it'll come back to you tenfold, because someone will have to give you kind and courtesy whenever you're feeling down and out, and you're going to need that. Please, all right? So with that, I just want to let everyone know as well, the schedule for this upcoming week. Wednesday will be your usual midweek breakdown episode that I drop Thursday and Saturday. If you listen and watch professional wrestling, I drop episodes there, so check those out. And next Sunday I'll come back with another long form content of news topics for next Sunday. So yeah, it's still gonna be the exact same week. Well, episodes are gonna be dropping as usual, okay, for this upcoming week. If not, I'll let you guys know at least on Wednesday if something happens to change, but I think everything's gonna be the same. So with that being said, this has been the My 2 Cents podcast, presented by and hosted by G2. He is I and I am him. This isn't goodbye. This is until you hear from the sweet sounding voice again. And I want everyone once again to have a blessed day. I want everyone to have a blessed week, and you will hear from me soon. So with that being said, Kanye, could you please take these people home?
I'm tired, you tired, Jesus wept.